Let's begin.
Hey there, my ghoulish gorehounds! In all honesty, I've been waiting a while to release the following, but those of you invested, wanting to know, provides an obligation not easily ignored. So, get uncomfortable, and lock all doors and windows. We all knew this wasn't over. It's time for an update as opposed to a story that I like to call 1999 Local Television.
Okay, so by now, you should all know why we're here. My name is Sabian Lockhart, and yes, I'm still being stalked by a sinister lurker, claiming to be the infamous Mr. Bear, the antagonist of the story, 1999. 1999 is a creepypasta that centers around a boy named Elliot exploring the nuances of his childhood, only to discover ritualistic brutality and the murder of 16 children by the hand of a Satan-worshipping child killer known only as Mr. Bear. Curious and enthralled by the mystery of this epic story, I began to research Caledon, Ontario, and anything else related to 1999. In the end, I found nothing to substantiate this story, aside from conjecture that would never stand as legitimate proof. However, someone found me instead. Off and on, for the past 2 years, I have received messages, photographs, exchanged conversation with, and have been psychologically tormented by an individual, or individuals, claiming to be Mr. Bear. Recently, I have been receiving quite a few messages from various people pretending to be Mr. Bear, and I can't help but feel a little like Elliot in his story. A story that is supposed to be fiction. Many of these messages are fake, and you may ask how I know this, but when you've exchanged messages with someone who is legitimately stalking you, and others who are just pretending, after a while, it becomes easy to tell the difference in a way that cannot really be described. To you guys, I guess I'll just say thank you for being so interested in this story, but I warn you, be careful who you deal with, because not all message recipients related to this story will be as kind as I am. Whether you believe the story of 1999 to be fake or not is your choice, and it's also irrelevant. There was a time when I sought to understand the truths behind Elliot's story, but I feel my focus has now shifted to my own story. Either Elliot's story is true, or some sick wacko obsessed with that story has fixed his gaze on me and my family. So, I culminate with this. Some stories may in truth be the work of fiction, but this does not mean that monsters do not exist, because real monsters are right outside your door, in the world, somewhere, waiting for both you and opportunity to just happen by. Moving on to what brings me here now, why I find myself writing this and soon to be reporting it to you. Well, last time I checked in, a new channel had been created on YouTube under the name of Mr. B. Upon checking the email registered to the channel and comparing it to the one I had received messages from, I noted it to be the same, beofthelight@gmail. There was a single video on the channel entitled Mr. Bear Gets a New Home, 12-22-24-25. The video itself was a jumble of video clips with no discernible meaning, mixed together with flashes of a man in a bear costume seemingly rocking back and forth. Under the vintage music overlaid throughout the video, there was an identifiable whispering, concurred by others who were assisting me with dissecting the footage. I noted at least 3 identifiable words: Elliot, Sabian, and soon. These utterances were discovered to be supported by messages hidden within some of the video flashes, the 2 names whispered in the audio, Sabian and Elliot. The video has since been removed from the channel. A good friend of mine noted a certain significance with the title of the video, namely the values 12-22, 24, and 25. This person and others will remain anonymous from here on out, because shortly hereafter, many of my social media friends began receiving messages themselves. But I'm getting ahead of myself. With my attention turned to those numbers and the suggestion that they may represent dates for what was the upcoming month of December, it didn't take long to find something relatable and significant. To be plain, the satanic rituals that occur in late December, which include the capture or kidnapping of an innocent victim and the torture/slaughter of that person, spanning across the dates of December 22nd, 24th, and 25th. All included in these circumstances agreed to the hope that we were wrong, and that the joyful dates of Christmas would not be spoiled by the deliverance of sorrow, torture, and despair. Aside from a few ambiguous and possibly threatening messages to many of the people I call friends, we all got our wish, and Christmas came and went with nothing spawning from the cloud of fear that loomed over each of our heads. But I wouldn't even let myself assume that this was all over with, that I had reached the end. I knew there would be more to tell, and a couple of weeks ago, I was proven right. I received an email once again from Be of the Light, this time instructing me to have a look at his YouTube channel. Sure, I could have ignored it. But to what end? Remember, this sicko has information regarding me and my children that could place us all in harm's way if I do not, as he instructed, follow this story till its end. So, obediently, I did as I was told. As expected, the channel page presented yet another recent upload by the owner. The title read, Mr. Bear's Cellar, Episode 47, Fun for the Holidays, 22, 24, 25. I clicked on the thumb which loaded the video, opening with a blank gray slate background behind bold black letters, spelling out the name of the title. The video then jumps to a street at night, lit by street lamps and lights coming from windows of illuminated buildings. A child's crying and screaming alongside a vintage music track called Hush, 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 Here Comes the Boogeyman plays in the background, beginning here and throughout the entire video, unabated. A street sign swipes across the screen as the clumsy camera user walks into position outside an alleyway between 2 buildings, ending in double doors at the distal end. The footage then displays a man in a bear mask before quickly cutting to something flailing around on a carpeted floor in some kind of black sack or blanket. Just as quickly, The bare-masked man makes another appearance before returning to more camera-held footage. This time, the cameraman is unlocking the chain on a crudely painted door, then entering into a nearly black room lit only by several candles. On a bed, or some other flat platform, is a small human body splayed out like a murder victim, yet notably still breathing, the chest rising and falling with each inhale and exhale. On the naked stomach of the child is a small, shiny pocket knife, and the victim's head is covered by a cloth or pillows, replaced by some kind of animal skull sitting on top. The cameraman approaches the child, retrieves the knife, and lifts it into the air. And then, the video just goes black, the audio abruptly silent. My mind reeled with questions and received no answers for a while. My closest friends viewed the footage and claimed bewilderment as well. It only took one more time of viewing it, though, to realize the true dread of its implications. Here, allow me to explain and show you exactly what I mean. The part of the video where the cameraman settled on those double doors in the alley seemed familiar to me, and although I had a good idea, I wouldn't allow myself to be sure without proof, for two reasons. One, because without it, who would believe me? And two, the truth was easier to deal with when I wouldn't allow myself to actually believe what the video was trying to tell me. It wasn't until I paused when that street sign came into view, and I knew there was no mistake anymore. That street was Clement Street, North Clement Street, where it meets Main, in Coymans, New York, just down the road from where I live. Those doors in the alley are actually the back entrance to a Catholic church, just down the road from a public elementary school. I have visited this church before for food drives and the like, and once my suspicions were reinforced with a picture-by-picture comparison, my heart sank. This asshole, if what he was presenting was true, kidnapped a child, tortured and sacrificed them during the dates of December 22nd, 24th, and 25th. And this all happened essentially right under my nose, right down the road from my home, where I and my own children reside. I do plan on going back to the police with this new information, and maybe I can even get that channel shut down, though I'm not sure how much good that would actually do. In any case, I will pick up this report when I return and am able to deliver to you what I hopefully learn. So, I'm back, and a little stressed out. Now I've learned I may not even be able to share what I've gathered. I suppose that, if that were the truth, there would be no point in writing this. But for the sake of my sanity and means for mental release, I will finish, and just keep it to myself for now. As I mentioned, I did go to the police station in Coymans, but this time I called first so I could set up an appointment with Officer Bennett. It may sound silly to you, insisting on talking to the same policeman, but try to see it from my perspective. I'm being stalked by a furry stalker in a bear suit who taunts me online, claiming to be the antagonist of a creepypasta. Literally, saying that sentence out loud and typing it down, as I just did, even seems like lunacy to me. Talking with the same officer I've already spoke with, delivered this crazy story to, of whom didn't laugh in my face, offered a comfortability I'm unable to ignore. As I said I would, I spoke with them that day. But in all honesty, it's been almost 2 days since then, because I wasn't able to reserve an appointment until earlier this afternoon. If anxiety could kill, Bennett would have met with a corpse. But time stops for no one, and the consort took place in due time. Sitting in the room with Bennett for a second time, I felt more uneasy than I assumed I would, but that eventually passed, mainly because, as I showed him the video that I had saved on my phone and gave him the information that I've learned, he seemed to express genuine unease in his disposition. After a few last scribbles on paper hidden by a clipboard, the officer took in a breath, as if deprived of oxygen, and explained that he would look into it, but from what he could tell, there was nothing illegal portrayed in the video that would warrant the channel's removal from the site. I went to say something, an outburst in my expression ready to jump forth, but Bennett put his hand up, motioning for me to hold my tongue for another moment, apparently expecting my rebuttal. He said that what I had given him may produce a new lead, as this information may correlate to some that the station had already obtained and was under current investigation. I asked him the circumstances, but he insisted that it was police business and that he was unable to share the information with me. Police business. What exactly is their business, besides total apparent incompetence? Frustrated, I stood and reluctantly thanked him for his time. Bennett stopped me one last time, halting me from turning towards the door. He told me, basically, not to share any of this with you. And if this does reach you before the proper time has arrived, just know I'm risking quite a bit to give it to you and deliver what I've learned. Because when he told me this, I agreed, upon one condition, that he tell me what they had under investigation already. Bennett sighed with reluctance, but after a moment, spoke. Here, I did actually write what it was that he told me, but I'm redacting it for now, for obvious reasons. If the cops do know something, I would be a fool to provide my stalker with that information. He told me that several of the witnesses had reported seeing redacted around the time of the disturbance, referring to the complaints of a lurker near homes at night, terrorizing various people wearing what appeared to be a bear costume, mentioned in my previous update. This was at first attributed to the clown sightings of last October, as Bennett described during our first meeting, but now that hypothesis has apparently been tossed aside. I told him of my previous experiences, of what I've described in my previous updates, which are currently relevant to what has been redacted. And I'll admit, I felt a chill in my blood as I did. Because due to the correlations that were now coalescing in my mind, forming and shaping into concrete ideas and revelations, I realized that I very well could have died, or suffered something worse. I instantly felt very small and out of control of my life, and that feeling has yet to go away or fade in the slightest. Stalking victims often claim trauma, sleeplessness, and prescribed therapy after such an event, and I'm honestly starting to understand why. But after I told Bennett about redacted, he told me he already knew. The authorities have been perusing my social media content as well. So, that's basically it. The last thing I asked him before walking out of the room was if he had any idea who the child in the video was, and he replied by telling me no, that there were no children reported missing in the district. I do suppose it's possible a kidnapping could have taken place within a nearby town. It's not like the Quayman's police department has a huge jurisdiction, and with Albany, the state capital, practically right next door, I suppose related information conveyed between the two would easily get lost in the shuffle of abundant murder and drug cases. I don't think I'll shake the feelings that video gave me, the implications of its context, and the profound influence and correspondence it has with my own life. I can almost feel the monster getting closer every day, and now that I'm done writing this, I'm contemplating posting it after all. The way I see it, it's me and my family that has been threatened, and the police might disagree, but when I don't share this chapter of this story, my life, it won't be their children taken in the night, and a crown of suffering will not be placed upon their heads. I know now that that burden is mine. So, whoever you are, wherever you are, I know you're out there. And if you ever come for me and mine, you'll find me here, waiting.
So, there you have it. The full story thus far is in your hands, and I suppose the rest is up to me. I'd like to tell you not to worry about me. Moreover, worry about the poor son of a bitch that messes with the wrong person. But enough messing around altogether. Make sure to stop in next Saturday as we get back to the regularly scheduled terror we all love. So until then, good fiends, remember, one's unbearable truth is another's thorough enjoyment, deserving of retribution.
Social media can be very unpredictable, especially regarding horror content. If this content gets removed, all new content will be simultaneously presented on various websites provided in the description to this video. Make sure to follow me in other digital spaces so that you never miss out on the terror. Also, if you like this video, make sure to leave a comment and hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy what's here, consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Writing is a dream of mine, and it's all of you that make that dream come true.